Tune those fiddles, floss that tooth, and uncork that moonshine. The Lovecraft Country Time Jamboree is back. Every week I'll be taking a look at each episode from the biggest horror series of 2020 as it drops. There'll be spoilers from here on out, but I'll try to keep them on the minimal. So there you go. You've been warned. Let's get to it.
Young Sagat.
Welcome back to ML Miller Frights, a part of the Kings of Horror Network. I'm ML Miller. Before we begin, remember to give this video a like, share with your buddies across the electronic superhighway, click subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to ring that bell for notifications. Please get the word out to new folks so we can make this channel bigger and better. Lovecraft Country, Episode 3, entitled Holy Ghost, was directed by Daniel Sackheim. He's the guy who directed the last episode. I want to state right away that Holy Ghost is miles better than the first two episodes, as the third episode actually tells a story with a definite beginning, a middle, and an end. While the first two episodes were overburdened with what seems to be a rush to get to a status quo, this episode takes some time to develop some character, and not only that, it charts some key moments that make the lead, in this case Letty, played by Jurnee Smollett, a very different woman at the end of the episode as she was at the beginning. Sure, that means that the episode must slow down the pace, as it's been giving us a Cliff Notes version of Lovecraftian lore for those not in the know, but it makes for a much more satisfying watch. Still recovering from the events that happened at the castle in the previous episode, the survivors return to Chicago. Letty comes into some money and immediately spends it on a home in the north side of Chicago, where she plans on opening a halfway house for black people in the area. Atticus, played by Jonathan Majors, plans on going back to Florida, but when the white neighbors show up, they make it known that Letty and her crew are not welcome in the neighborhood. They park their cars outside of the home with bricks on their horns and tamper with the furnace to try to get Letty and her crew to leave. But Tick decides to stay a few more nights to protect Letty and the home. But it turns out the neighbors aren't the only ones who want Letty to leave. There appear to be some restless spirits haunting the home as well, which is the reason why Letty got such a deal in the first place. Everything culminates into a ritual performed by a local medicine woman in the basement where a number of black people were murdered and experimented on by a mad doctor. Occurring at the same time, the neighbors have had enough, and they break in to attack whomever is left in the house. Centering on one character, Letty, makes this a much more focused episode where actions are built up to and then have some consequences. Letty experiences a milestone of sorts in this episode, and unlike the attack she experienced with the Phantom in the form of Atticus and the lack of any kind of acknowledgement of the scars this attack might have left in the last episode, this action that occurs in episode 3 is talked about and helped reveal quite a bit about her character in doing so. We also get more of the contemptuous relationship Letty has with her sister, Ruby, played by Wunmi Mosaku. The opening scene at a church service where she watches the other women crying and dancing in the aisles while Letty sits composed is another subtle clue as to the distance between Letty and her family and culture. Having these scenes really make Letty a much stronger character and makes me want her to come out of all of this stronger and wiser. This is the character heft that was lacking in previous episodes. The cause and effect on the character just weren't there in those episodes. In its place was a rapid-fire idea machine gun that simply tossed one crazy scene after the next, right in our faces. Atticus takes a back seat here, but still has a strong presence, and the relationship between Letty and him actually makes some movement. There's also some nice interactions between Atticus and his father Montrose, played by Michael Kenneth Williams, showing their relationship has a lot to work on. There's also some great subtle interplay between Atticus and Uncle George's wife Hippolyta, played by Ingenue Ellis, and Diana, played by Jada Harris, who are both experiencing feelings of grief after they found out about George's death. Montrose also gets a nice scene where he's trying to deal with a lot of the guilt that he feels having lost his brother George and reaches out to Hippolyta for help. Finally, there's a bit of movement on the Atticus legacy front as he confronts Christina, played by Abby Lee, who drops in for some discourse and a demonstration of the power and reach she possesses. There are a few nice moments of thrills and chills in this episode. Unfortunately, a lot of them were haunted house cliches horror fans are going to recognize immediately. There is one especially creepy ghost with a baby's head that reminded me of an old Key and Peele skit, and a less effective, overly CG'd ghost whispering, "Get out." Of course, the twist is pretty clever in that the black ghosts seem less interested in harming Letty and her boarders and more interested in taking out any of the white neighbors that come into the house looking for trouble. It's not a subtle message, but it is a nice little twist on an old cliché. All in all, this is the strongest of the 3 first episodes, mainly because it finally feels comfortable enough with the story being told to focus on some characters for a change. After the last episode, I was afraid I was going to quickly lose interest because the storytelling was really lacking. Holy Ghost is a step in the right direction, and maybe the episode that rights the Lovecraftian country ship. We'll see if this is the case, as the next episode seems to be going into very Indiana Jonesy territory. That'll be it for today. If you like this video, please pound that thumbs up button. Share the video with all of your social media addicted pals. If you're looking for written reviews, you can find them on mlmillerwrites.com. Don't forget about the new trade paperback for my comic book horror series, GRAVETRANCERS. It'll be out in finer comic shops this Wednesday. And be sure to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell for alerts to be the first to see my future videos. Thanks so much for your time, and take care.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality. You're doomed. Oh, you're doomed. You're doomed. God doomed. Live the life that you are meant to be. Live inside that